And a very good Friday morning, afternoon, evening, everyone. Joe Benigno back with you again, the The Pain podcast. Friday, November 14th, 2025. The Joe Benigno The Pain podcast brought to you by Manscaped, by the Carolina Resort Vacation, and, of course, our good friends at Anita Tire. So, the Jets lose again last night. So much for the two-game winning streak. They're beaten by the Patriots 27-14. On Thursday Night Football in Foxboro. Look, you knew coming into this game they weren't winning this game. Okay, the Patriots are a far better team. They've now won 8 straight games. They're 9-2. It's unbelievable. Best record in the AFC. It really is amazing. The difference when you got a quarterback now in Drake May, and of course a head coach in Mike Vrabel. So I never for a second did I think the Jets had a chance to win this game. But then they tease you. This is what happens with this team all the time. They tease you. They have this unbelievable opening drive, which is scripted beautifully by the offensive coordinator. I can never say his name right. And they go right down the field for a touchdown. Justin Fields takes it in, runs in from about 3 yards out, and the Jets are up 7-0. And you're like, wow, look at this. Unbelievable. And then the game starts. And then the Patriots got the ball, and it was all downhill from there. Look, we could kill Justin Fields all we want. We know he's not any good. It is unbelievable how Aaron Glenn just completely sticks up for this guy. I mean, if you would have saw the post-game, if you watched the post-game show last night and listened to Glenn talking to the media, he has no intention. I mean, he has no intention of going to Tyrod Taylor. I mean, apparently Taylor was warming up at some point, maybe at halftime last night, but he had no intentions of making a switch. And look, to me, it's very obvious why. I mean, he's got $30 million guaranteed, Fields does, and Glenn loves him. That's just Glenn's guy. This is Glenn. This is the guy that Glenn brought in here, handpicked, dumped Rodgers, and brought in Fields, handpicked. This is my quarterback. So Glenn is going to live and die with him at least for the rest of this year until the Jets get themselves their own Drake May, and we can only hope that that's going to happen in the draft this offseason now with all the draft capital that the Jets have over the next 2 years. But, it was so much more than Fields that cost him this game. Did he play well? No, he made a ton of mistakes. He missed Mitchell on what should have been a big play when he threw the ball to the wrong side of him. Would have been a big third down conversion for the Jets in the first half. In the first drive of the second half, he had a terrible, throwing the ball. Why I can't think of it now. See, this is what happens when you get old. It really does. It's intentional grounding. He had a terrible intentional grounding when he threw the ball to nowhere, when he had a chance at least to get it close to somebody. Could have threw the ball over somebody's head on the sideline. He had a bad intentional grounding when he threw the ball down the middle and there was nobody there. That cost the Jets big on the opening drive of the second half. Obviously, the fumbled snap in the fourth quarter that really sealed the game for New England, even though they only got a field goal out of that. I mean, just fall on the ball. He drops the snap. It was a low snap, but certainly hit him right in the hands. Just fall on the ball. Don't try to pick it up and make a play out of it and eventually winds up losing it. New England gets the football, and like I said, eventually kicks the field goal. That really ended the game. I mean, not that we thought the Jets were going to win anyway. So, Fields has his share of mistakes, made some bad throws, still holds the ball too long, didn't throw an interception. It's unbelievable. As bad as Fields has been this year, and part of it is because he's afraid to throw the ball so many times, he only has thrown one pick all year. And speaking of that, the Jet defense, and I don't know how you want to evaluate how they played last night. They only had one sack of Drake May. Jermaine Johnson got that. They had another sack of Drake May on a third down in the second half, where Quincy Williams came up with a sack, and he played well again last night. Quincy Williams sacks May on third down, and there's a defensive holding penalty on Stevens to give the Patriots an automatic first down, right? These are the kind of mistakes that you can't make and win games. Tippmann had a bad, roughing penalty, where he threw the guy, almost punched the guy, hit him late after the play was over. Unbelievable. It's crazy. You can't take it, right? I mean, how many times do we see this with this team? It just happens too much, too many stupid mistakes that they make. It's unbelievable. And you can't win games like that. You're just not winning games when you make the mistakes they made. Mitchell, this A.D. Mitchell that they got in the Gardner trade from the Colts, dropped a big pass down the sideline. One of the best throws Fields made all night, maybe the best one. It would have been a big play down the sideline. He hit Mitchell right in the hands and he dropped the ball. There was another one where he hit Mitchell over the middle, would have been a big first down play. Mitchell dropped the ball. I mean, this can't happen. This is why this team is no good. And we could kill Fields all we want. We know he's not any good. We know he's not any good. But, you can't make mistakes. And the defense never forces a turnover. 10 consecutive games now that the Jets have not had an interception. That's almost impossible. 10 games, they haven't had an interception all year. And obviously, you're watching guys wide open in the secondary. We were seeing that all day yesterday. Drake May carved them up. He had a lot of time to throw. There were times when the Jets got close to him and they couldn't put him down. Michael Clemens, it continues to boggle my mind how he's still on this team and getting all the time that he gets on that defensive line. I don't get it. I mean, I just don't get it. I don't know. Does he have pictures of the coaching staff? I mean, I don't know. How does this guy continue to play? Like I said, they had one sack all night. Will McDonald was a complete non-factor. They were double teaming him the whole game. He did draw one holding penalty. I mean, it's unbelievable. Well, I don't know what to say. What can you say? Breece Hall really was a non-factor. You can see the Patriots really were making a concerted effort to not make him beat them last night. That was the old school that, always saw Belichick do. You pick the one guy out, make sure he doesn't beat you. And that was Breece Hall last night. Obviously, no Garrett Wilson again. Mason Taylor caught a few passes. Mechie, the guy they got in the trade from the Eagles for Michael Carter, he actually played all right. He caught a touchdown pass. He caught another first down pass in the game. So you got a little production out of him last night. But it's just, it's the same old, same old. I mean, Fields ran the ball well. He had a big night running the ball. He had the running touchdown. He had a couple other first down runs. What did he rush for? About 60, almost 70 yards in the game last night. He almost ran for more yards than he threw. I think he threw for 116 yards. But you're not winning. You're not winning NFL games when your quarterback is throwing for 116 yards. You're not going to win. And like I said, there were drop passes. Mitchell dropped a couple passes. Mistakes in the game, penalties, the fumble by Fields, bad passes. You can't win. You just can't win because you're just not good enough. And you're watching Drake May take them apart. Yeah, how difficult is it if you're a Jet fan to look at the Patriots and see that they're back? They're 9-2. They're on the right now. You look at the Patriots' schedule. I think the only game they got left against a team that's with a winning record is Buffalo. That's it. And they've already beaten Buffalo in Buffalo. So they've won 8 straight games. They're 9-2. They got the best record in the AFC. It's unbelievable. I got to see Kraft sitting up there with Gronkowski, and I guess that's his son up there. I mean, not his son, but his that's Jerry Jones. But his, I don't know who that other guy sits up there with him. It's not I don't think he's the GM, maybe the president of the team, whoever he is. I mean, you want to get sick. You can't take it. I'm getting a phone call from my buddy Ray Martell. He's there, right? My old producer, a big Patriot fan. He's sitting there in Foxboro, hands the phone to some guy I don't know who's a Jet fan. I'm talking to him. I'm like, what are we doing? The Patriots are back, and we're in the shithole we always are, 2-8. I mean, it's unbelievable. I don't know what to say. They're going to lose next week, too, because they play the Ravens in Baltimore. They got no shot in that game. But it's obvious that Glenn has no intentions of going to Tyrod Taylor. He's going to play Fields. Maybe this is his way of tanking. Players don't tank in the NFL. They don't tank. No. But the organization can tank, and maybe the way he's tanking is continuing to play Justin Fields. I know they did win 2 games with him. I get that. But I look. And they won the game against Cleveland because they had 2 kick returns for touchdowns in the game. And Breece Hall took a screen pass 42 yards for a touchdown. He did get 6 sacks as well. That helped against the Browns. But, the step up in competition was obvious last night. And May had time to throw. Guys are wide open all over the field. Hunter Henry killed him again. What can you say? If you're a Jet fan, what can you say? You knew they're going to lose last night. That doesn't make it any easier when they do. And, there's, like I said, it's more than just Fields. As bad as he played overall, it's more than him. I don't know. I could go on and on and on. I could cry about this till the cows come home. The bottom line is the Jets are just not a good football team. They're 2-8. Look, and when you step up in competition like what the Patriots are, forget about it. And the fact that right now that the Patriots are light years ahead of them again, the Jets are where they always are at the bottom of the AFC East. It's just difficult to deal with. And we can only hope that they're going to at least get it right when it comes to the draft. They got to find their franchise quarterback. You're not doing it by trading for Joe Burrow. You're not doing it by, bringing in Kyler Murray. It's not happening that way. I heard Herb Street last night during the game say, well, maybe next year they get a guy like Kirk Cousins for a year, whatever. If you're looking to get Arch Manning 2 years from now, I don't want Kirk Cousins. He stinks. I want my own quarterback. All right? I want my own quarterback. And they got to draft one. I'd love to get Arch Manning in 2 years, but I don't know if I can wait. I think you got to do whatever you got to do to get that guy. If it's Mendoza, if it's Dante Moore, whoever it may be. If it's the kid from Alabama, Simpson. If you think that's the guy, you got to, if you're the 5th pick in the draft and New Orleans, who needs a quarterback, is sitting there with the 1st pick in the draft, or even if it's somebody else, maybe it's Tennessee again, who doesn't need a quarterback, you make the move to trade up and get that guy. They have to get a quarterback. There's no other way to say it. And I don't understand. Like I said, I think the reason that Glenn stays with Fields is because that's his handpicked guy, and they're paying him. They got $30 million guaranteed for him in 2 years. I think that's the reason. That's the reason he doesn't go to Tyrod Taylor, who was better. I mean, I'm sorry, he's better. And like I said, Fields ran the ball okay last night, had some big runs. He did. But, I mean, he can't throw the ball. His inaccuracy is unbelievable. We know that. He's afraid to let it go more often than not. He threw that touchdown pass to Mechie because the guy who covered him fell down and he couldn't been on any more wide open. So, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you, Jet fans. I really don't. We got to wait and wait and wait. Like Al Michaels said, there's no more patient fan base than we are. I mean, we've been patient since January 12th, 1969. We haven't had a franchise quarterback since Namath. I mean, there's been guys. We had Chad Pennington, Ken O'Brien. They were all right. Richard Todd a little bit. But, we really haven't had that guy. Vinny Testaverde for a couple of years. Ryan Fitzpatrick for 1 year. We never had that guy. And you can't go, it never works or rarely does it work when you go out and bring somebody else's quarterback in, whether it was Neil O'Donnell, whether it was Boomer Esiason, whether it was Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers. It really doesn't work. They got to draft their own quarterback, and they got to hit it. They got to get it right. And there were good things in this game last night. I mean, I like the way that they certainly are playing hard. You can't say they're not playing hard for Aaron Glenn because they certainly are. I thought the offensive line played pretty well. I thought the offensive line is starting to come around here a little bit. They really only sacked Fields once. The other sack was actually the fumbled snap that I guess they call that a sack when he fumbled the ball and they recovered it. I thought they did a decent job. They ran. They run for about 125, 130 yards last night. Something like that. Against the best run defense in the NFL. New England was only giving up about 80 yards a game on the ground. So I thought the offensive line played well. I think the offensive line is starting to come around. They really are. Outside of that dumb penalty by Tippmann. But again, you can't make these mistakes. That the defensive holding, when Quincy Williams gets a big sack to get the Jets off the field on 3rd down, the defensive hold on Stevens, you just can't have that happen. You can't. So I don't know what else to say. What's left to say? if you're a Jet fan. They got, what do they got? 7 games to play. There's winnable games there. We've talked about it. You got the Saints, you got the Dolphins at home, you got Atlanta at home, the Jaguars on the road. I mean, these games you could win. But they're not beating the Ravens next week in Baltimore. They're not beating Buffalo when they play them in Buffalo at the end of the year. In a game, the way things are going for the Bills may really need that game. They're not beating the Patriots when they play them again, even though the game's going to be at MetLife. So they're going to have a high draft choice no matter what. I want to win games. I want to be competitive and win games. I'm not looking to, go 2-15 the rest, for the season. I don't know. I don't know what to say. I don't know. They are playing for Glenn. I'll give him that. But this idea that he refuses to go to Tyrod Taylor, like I said, I think the reason that's the case is because they're paying him $30 million guaranteed for 2 years, and because of the fact that this is Glenn's hand-picked guy. They dumped Rodgers. They couldn't get Rodgers out of the building fast enough. Let's be honest. I know Rodgers hasn't had a great year in Pittsburgh, but you want to tell me the Jets are 2-8 if Rodgers is the quarterback? I doubt it. I think they got a couple more wins. But he refuses to go to Taylor. I think the only way he's going to go to Tyrod Taylor is if Fields gets hurt. I really do. Or as if he's just so horrible that he has to make the change. So, what can I tell? What else can I say, Jet fans? It is what it is. All right. Let's get the sponsors in here. I've been telling you about Manscaped for a long time and how great they are and all the great things about them. I tell you about the Lawnmower 5.0 and how it gives you that illusion of extra inches down below and, keeps you fit and trim with the family jewels and all of that. And how it keeps you from, you don't have to use the scissor that might give you a cut and you don't want to be bleeding down there. It's happened to me and it's traumatic, as we all know. There's one area you don't want to get cut. It's down there. That's for sure. So get the lawnmower and it takes care of business and the whole deal. And now Manscaped has the handyman and the chairman, which is, it's time to talk about stepping up your grooming game and the face shaving products now from Manscaped. How about that? They're the ultimate grooming tools designed to deliver precision and comfort in sleek and easy-to-use devices. Whether you're looking for a trim, a shape, a detailed touch-up, Manscaped face shaving products are built to handle shaving your face with ease, crafted for efficiency and the perfect addition to your grooming arsenal. You can use my code PAIN, a lot of pain if you're a Jet fan. It could have been Jets too because they're both 4-letter words and they both mean the same thing. Jets and PAIN mean the same thing, pain. But use my code PAIN for 15% off your entire order at manscaped.com. And the Handyman is sleek, powerful, compact face shaver that helps guys ditch the mess, cordless and designed for convenience. It easily fits in a bathroom drawer, slips into an overnight or gym bag for easy grooming on the go. So check it out. Join over to the 12 million men who trust Manscaped and upgrade to the Handyman Rocket Man. You can use my code PAIN for 15% off your entire order at manscaped.com. 15% off, free shipping with the code PAIN at manscaped.com. Don't miss out. Upgrade your grooming game with Manscaped today. Get the Handyman Rocket Man and 15% off your entire order with the code PAIN at manscaped.com. Manscaped or hashtag Manscaped Partner. All right, don't forget the underwear from Manscaped. Love them. Terrific underwear. Don't forget the conditioner, shampoo, conditioner, and body wash. Check it all out. Manscaped. You will love it for the top and the bottom. Now, if you're looking for a great vacation site, you know where you got to go. Check out Carolina Resort Vacation. My kids went down there in the summer. They loved it. It really is terrific. It's in North Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. It's unbelievable. It's a great vacation spot. Check out Carolina Vacation OBLV Unit 2 in beautiful North Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. They have 5 spacious bedrooms, each with a private ensuite and your own bathroom. Very convenient. A fully stocked kitchen, ready for family meals or group cooking nights. Arcade-style gaming table with 150 plus classic games, smart TVs in every room, entertainment for everybody, steps from the beach, minutes from Barefoot Landing, mini golf, Ripley's Aquarium, and the Myrtle Beach Boardwalk. All the great golf courses down there as well. The unit is freshly renovated, spotless, and spacious, perfect for family trips, group getaways, or a relaxing retreat by the ocean. Whether you're soaking up the sun, exploring local attractions, or enjoying time together, OBLV Unit 2 Carolina Resort Vacation makes every trip unforgettable. North Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, comfort style location, all in one, 843-249-6509. Visit CarolinaResortRealty.com to learn more. Start planning your trip today. Carolina Resort Vacation. Tell them Benigno sent you. And, of course, if you need any work done on your car, you need tires, whatever you need. I had to need a little work done on my car yesterday. Went to Need a Discount Tires. Saw Johnny. My son took care of it. See his great boss, Harry. One of the great mechanics over there, Rob. It's in beautiful North. I'll be all right. It's in oh boy. Yeah, right. I'm telling you right now. Rivervale, New Jersey, on Westwood Avenue in Rivervale, New Jersey. See Jet games and these late games. Although the game was pretty quick last night. It really was. That was a pretty fast game last night. It was over like right around 11. Well, it was over before that if you're a Jet fan, but it officially ended at about 11 o'clock. But anyway, go see Johnny, Harry, everybody over at I Need a Discount Tire in Rivervale, New Jersey on Westwood Avenue, and tell them Joe B sent you. You need tires, work done on your car inspected. They do it all at Anita Discount Tire. All right, before we continue on, I'll give you my picks for week 10, week 11, whatever the hell it is now in the NFL. One of the great sports writers for many years, lately with the New York Post, one of the great hockey writers of all time, Larry Brooks, just passed away. I guess he had cancer. All the best to his family. He was 75 years old. Knew Larry for many years, going to Ranger games, covered the Rangers, covered the Islanders. Really one of the great hockey writers there was. Lately, you haven't seen him writing at the Post, and I saw a little blurb the other day where he had some health issues, and he passed away at the age of 75. So all the best to Larry Brooks' family in the passing. Really one of the great sports writers, one of the great hockey writers of all time, Larry Brooks. Rest in peace, Larry Brooks. All right, let me get my picks in here. Last week, not too bad. Last 2 weeks, I've been 2-1. I'm 13-17 for the year. I won last week with the Jets. They were getting 2.5, beat the Browns outright. Lost with the Bucks, who were laying 2.5 against New England. And, of course, New England won the game outright. Loved the Saints, and they won outright, beat Carolina by 10. They were getting 5.5 last week against the overrated Panthers. So here's my picks for week number 10. I'm taking the Chiefs, actually laying 3.5 in Denver against the Broncos. This is a huge game for Kansas City. You know, they're sitting there 5-4 in the division. You already got Denver at 8-2. You already got the Chargers at 7-3. This is a game that the Chiefs really, really need to win. Denver's red hot. They've won 7 in a row. But, you know, a lot of games. You look at some of the games Denver won. You know, the comeback against the Giants, when the Giants were beating them 26-7 or whatever the score was in that game. The win against the Jets in London where, you know, basically Denver mailed the game in, but the Jets are the Jets, and they won that game 13-11. You know, even the game against the Raiders last week on a Thursday night, they beat them 10-7. They beat up Geno Smith, but they didn't play great in that game. You know, if they were playing a better team than the Raiders, they would have lost that game too. I think they're ripe for the taking now. I know the game's in Denver, but it's a game the Chiefs absolutely need to win. So give me the Chiefs laying 3.5 in Denver against the Broncos. I'm taking the Bucks, and I know they're banged up, but I'm taking the Bucks getting 5.5 in Buffalo against the Bills. Now, this is a game the Bills need to win. You know, they're sitting there right now. They're only one game in the loss column behind Buffalo, behind New England, but New England already beat them once. Buffalo's sitting at 6-3, got absolutely blown out by the Dolphins last week in Miami. I think it's going to be a close game. It's a game that really both teams need to win. You know, the Bucs are in better shape because they're in that lousy NFC South. They got a 2-game lead right now in the loss column over Carolina as well. Tampa's going to win that division no matter what. But I'm taking the Bucs, getting 5.5 in Buffalo against the Bills. I think it's going to be a close game. Buffalo may win, but I think either way, it's going to be a field goal game. So give me the Bucks plus 5.5 in Buffalo against the Bills. And I'm taking the 49ers. They're a 2.5-point favorite in Arizona against the Cardinals. They come off a very tough loss last week over the Rams, at home in San Francisco. I guess Mac Jones is still a quarterback. Brock Purdy's still hurt. Either way, I'm taking San Francisco. Now, the Cardinals have been much better with Jacoby Brissett at quarterback, although they got destroyed last week in Seattle by the Seahawks. I'm taking the Niners. You're only laying 2.5. You know there's going to be a ton of Niner fans in the building in Arizona. So give me the Niners laying the 2.5 in Arizona against the Cardinals. So the Benigno picks, I like the Chiefs laying 3.5 in Denver against the Broncos. I like the Bucks getting 5.5 in Buffalo against the Bills. And I like the Niners laying 2.5 in Arizona against the Cardinals. So those are the Benigno picks for Week 10 in the NFL. As far as the Giants are concerned, of course, Brian Dable gone. Kafka is going to be the coach this week. Jackson Dart's out. Jameis Winston will start, not Russell Wilson in the game against Green Bay at MetLife. Same thing that we saw a couple of weeks ago. There's going to be a ton of Packer fans there. You know there are. Green Bay needs a win. They've lost 2 games in a row after coming off the loss to the Eagles last Monday night. That game 10-7, another rip-roarer. They lost to Carolina the week before that. So they've actually lost 2 straight games at home to Carolina and Philadelphia. It's a big game for the Packers. Got to believe Green Bay will win this game. What are they, 7-point favorite over the Giants in this game? They'll probably win. But nevertheless, let's see what Kafka does in his first game as the interim head coach of the Giants. Again, no Jackson Dart. Jameis Winston will make the start, and we'll see what happens at MetLife on Sunday. That's the story. Still waiting on the meeting. Still waiting what's going to happen with Alonso, with Diaz. Don't get crazy, Met fans. Don't listen to all the nonsense, no matter what. David Stearns is saying that he wants Alonso back. I don't believe that for a second. I don't think Stearns wants him at all. I think, if Pete signs, and he better re-sign with the Mets, it's going to all be on Steve Cohen. There will be major fallout if Stearns does not sign Pete Alonso. To me, if David Stearns lets Alonso walk, it'll be the same thing as back in 1990 when Frank Cashin let Strawberry walk. The difference is that Cashin had a championship under his belt with the Mets, and Stearns has nothing. So, we'll see how that plays out. I think it'll happen long before the Super Bowl, but it won't happen tomorrow. I can tell you right now, as far as what happens with Alonso and Edwin Diaz. And, Diaz said he's 50-50 on coming back to the Mets. And that's, again, that's all negotiations and all of that crap. You know that. So we'll see what happens. All right. Everybody have a great weekend. Check me out tomorrow, my usual big 2-hour show from 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. I tell you, but you blink and that show's over. Really amazing how fast that goes. It does. By the time I get up, the show's over, Well, anyway, 5 to 7 tomorrow on The Fan. Check me out again Monday. I'm doing all kinds of stuff again today. It's like a football Monday today with the Jets playing on Thursday. I'll be doing the Jake Asman show in a couple hours. Check me out at 4 o'clock this afternoon with Evan and Tiki, my normal spot that would normally be on a Monday. So check all that out. Everybody have a great weekend. No singing today. Not going to sing today. I don't feel like singing. My voice is not great right now anyway. So not going to sing. So everybody can calm down about that happening. But, yeah. Everybody have a great weekend. God bless America. All the love. And I'll talk to you tomorrow on The Fan at 5 o'clock.